So, welcome to the second part and the practical part of JMeter integration with Grafana plus InfluxDB for real-time monitoring. So, first we will install and set up the InfluxDB, and for that, let's go to the. So, this is the website, which is the influxdata.com/downloads, and let me paste the URL here for you to see. So this is the influxdata.com/downloads, and what I'm going to do here is, so if you go to the website here, and at this, please scroll down. So this is what I have used. I have downloaded the version 1.8.10, and the platform is Windows binaries. And in fact, if we want to try, if you're someone who wants to try this in macOS, please select the macOS. And if you want to try this as a Docker image, so in fact we will try this as in one of the videos as how to install this as a Docker image. And in fact, if you're doing something through your Windows machine, because most of us use the Windows machine, so just select the Windows machines. And then the first part of this query is you have to just select this, just select this query, go to your PowerShell, and if possible just try to open this in your admin mode, and then right click this URL and paste it. So once you paste this, so automatically you can see the values, the file is getting downloaded to your machine. So let's wait for a few more seconds to get it to get downloaded, because this file is quite big. So now the download has completed, and when you click enter in the next command, which automatically comes as part of the first command when you pasted it, so when you click it, automatically you get your file. And so since I have got the file, I'm not running this command. Let me show you the folder. So here inside the program files, under the influx data, under the influx db, and here finally I've got the influx db. So the first part, so here we can see the install part is completed, and now we'll set up the influx db. So for that, let's go to the PowerShell, and before that we'll have to make sure that we are running the influxd.exe. So once you run this influxd.exe, that's influx db server. So once you run that, automatically you should get a screen like this, which starts the influx db for you. So this is a kind of an internal server for you. So here you can see it starts the influx db, and you can run your influx only after you run the influxd, which is the influx server. And once you run this automatically, and then you can start your influx.exe. So let me start it, and for that let's go to the PowerShell. Let me do a cd inside the quotes. I'm pasting the location, and now I'm doing the influx tab. So I'm going to run the influx.exe. So now we can see here we are connected successfully to the localhost 8086. So this is the version where the local the InfluxDB runs in your machine. So here in fact you can see it will give you the instructions on which port does it runs. So now we are going to see the next part. So we're going to set up the databases inside the InfluxDB. So we need to understand few commands. So this is mostly like our any of our SQL, like the PL SQL or MySQL or any of the other SQL type, but still there are like few differences. So first let me show you what are the databases which I have. So here I have an internal DB and a MyDB. So now let's create a new DB for this integration. So I'm going to create a new DB, which is create database, and it's going to be integrate underscore JMeter. So this is going to be my new database. And then after creating a database, we need to create a user, right? So let me try show users. So I already have a user who is my user. So in case if you want to create a user, so what's the command for that? So you can create like user, and the user is going to be jmeter, sorry, let me j, come on, jmeter underscore user or jmeter underscore tester. So in case if you want to create it with any of the passwords, you can create the password, or if not, we can void it. So let me create it, create jmeter underscore tester with password. The password is going to be tester. So now we have created the users. So we have now two users. One is the my user and then the jmeter tester. So we do not have the admin credential for him, so he's just going to be a normal user, right? So let's use, so which database are we going to use? So let's use the new database which we created, which is integrate underscore jmeter. So now we are going to use the integrate underscore jmeter. So what we have done here so far is we have installed and we have set up the InfluxDB. So that's done. So now let's move on to the next step, which is install and set up Grafana. Okay, so let's now move on to the next step. So the next step is going to be very simple. So here we have the Grafana. So I'm just pasting the URL here. So navigate to the grafana.com, Grafana download platform windows. So in fact, again, we have like a lot of options. We can run it through Linux, we can run it through Windows, Mac, Docker. In fact, we have option on Linux 64 chip. So here we're going to run it through the Windows and choose the download the zip file, and this will download a zip file for you. So I've downloaded here. So this is where I have downloaded, and so this is the installation part, which is the download part. So to set it up, run this grafana server.exe, and once you run it, you can see it runs on the localhost port. So I can show you here. So this is the port number, which is, just make sure once you run this server, just run this particular URL in your browser, which is localhost 3000. So this will show you whether you are good to run your Grafana. So the username and the password is going to be admin. And let me skip this part. So now we have moved to our Grafana, right? So we can see the Grafana window. So as I told you, we will set up the Grafana. So the install and set up Grafana part is now done. So now we'll try to connect the InfluxDB which we have created. So we have created a database. We have created a database here. So we'll try to connect this database inside the Grafana, and then we'll set up a dashboard, and then we'll start the test. So now we are in the third step. So let's move to the Grafana here. So add your first data source. So this data source, as we all know, it's InfluxDB, and it's going to be integrate underscore jmeter. The query language is InfluxQL, which I have told you in the introduction video, which is about the which query language you're going to use, and then the URL is going to be HTTP localhost 8086. I have told you this as well. So this is the port we're going to use, and then let's move down. So the database here, let's see. So the database is integrate jmeter. Let me copy it, and the user. So which user are we going to use here? So we're going to use the jmeter tester, and since I do not have set up any password, I am not giving any I think, okay, we have given the password here. So let's give the password, and the HTTP method is going to be a GET request. So this is going to be a GET request, not a POST request. So in case if we have any POST request, we can add if we are sending some data to the application or to the Grafana, we can add the POST, but for now we're going to only get the database results from the InfluxDB. So we're going to just use only the get method, and let's do a save and test. So data source is working and zero measurements are found since we have not started any test. So let's go back to our milestones. So we have now connected Grafana. And now the next part is how are we going to set up a dashboard, because we have set up the Grafana now, right? So let's go to the home. We have set up our data sources. So now we have to connect the Grafana. And for that, let's go to the add visualizations. Sorry. Okay, let me discard this. Okay, sorry, cancel. So here on the top, can you see the plus symbol? So just click on this plus symbol and then click on this import dashboard. And now you can see a window where it tells you to upload dashboard JSON file. So where can you get this? So Grafana itself gives us a lot of options. So in fact, if you see here, I've chosen the category as databases and the panel as all. Under the data source, I have chosen InfluxDB, and in fact, you can see here, it has a lot and lots of data sources, like even Azure Monitor, the CloudWatch. If you're part of AWS, you can even get that. You can have a CSV and Prometheus, GitHub. Oh my God, it's like giving lots and lots of options for monitoring. So let's choose InfluxDB for now and sort by downloads. And then on the top one, the first one, the Apache JMeter dashboard. So this is what we're going to download. And in fact, there are like multiple, and I would say like lots of other JSON, the dashboards like InfluxDB internals. In fact, if you have time, you can just try these InfluxDB internals, and you can try the internal DB internal basics. Like there are like lots and lots of like the dashboard. So if you want, you can just try all of these when you get time. In fact, I can even get some videos for you on all of these separately. So open this Apache JMeter dashboard. I think I have pasted the URL for you. Okay, let me just paste it for now. Okay, let me just paste the URL here. So this is the URL, and let me click on this dashboard and download JSON. So now this will download the JSON for you. And let's move on to the Grafana. Go to the upload dashboard JSON file. And this is the one that I have downloaded. Open. Now a dashboard folder with the same name already exists. Yes, I know. So let me just go. I'll just use the same name, which is the JMeter integration with Grafana plus InfluxDB for real-time monitoring. The folder is going to be general. The DB name is integrate JMeter. The measurement name is JMeter. So let's do import. Now you can see there are like 0 total requests, 0 failed requests, received bytes. Everything is still 0 because we have not yet connected our application. That's the reason. So let's change the data source. So let's change it to integrate JMeter, and we are ready. So now let's go to the JMeter. Where are you, JMeter? So let's open the JMeter. So I'm in the JMeter. Let me open the jmeter.bat, and let's wait for the JMeter to open. So yes, JMeter is fired up and is ready. So let me open one of my previous project here, and here I have the backend listener. So okay, let me just do it from the beginning. So let me just remove it. And so you have your project here or your thread groups. So just go to the simple controller, go to add, and then the listener, and then the fourth one, the very top fourth one, which is the backend listener. And then this backend listener in fact has lots of options. So you can use this listener for Kafka backend client monitoring. You can use this for Graphic backend listener client. And there are like 2 options. One is the DB raw backend listener client, and one is the InfluxDB backend listener client. In fact, this raw client will give you lots of raw data, raw information. but we're going to choose the second option or the last option, which is the InfluxDB backend listener client. Under this, you can see the metric sender is going to be the same one, which is the InfluxDB backend sender, and then the InfluxDB URL. Yes, so we have to make a change here, and how we are going to make the change is, or what change are we going to make here is, on the top, if you see, it's connected to HTTP localhost 8086. Let's copy it, come back to JMeter, and let's change the URL to HTTP localhost, and then the application name is going to be the same. The measurement is JMeter, the summary only is false, the samplers regex is going to be star dot star, and then the percentiles, we're going to collect 99, 95, 90. The test style is going to be test name, right? And let's save this. Let me go to the the thread group, and before that, let me add a random delay of like 3 seconds, so at least it will give some delays. And in fact, if you do not watch any of my videos on random timers, please do watch my other videos on timers. So now we are set up, so let's go to the last step. So we're going to run the test, and we're going to monitor that. This step is completed, which is the setup the dashboard in Grafana is completed. And now the last step, so let's see whether it is completed or not. Let me start the test. The test here is started, and we can see the request, and let's go to the Grafana dashboard. Let's refresh it. Okay, and the reason here, which we cannot see any of the data or any of the metrics here, is I have not given the right database. So that's the mistake here, and in fact I have found this through the logs here. So it shows that we do not have this databases, so that's the reason we cannot find any of the database. So we'll have to change the database name. So let's change the database name to the right one. So the database name which we're using here for this example is the integrate JMeter. So let me change it here. So we have changed it now. Let's save it, clear everything, and let's run. And now we do not see any of the errors here like the one we saw previously. So now let's come to the Grafana. Yes, so now we started to see the results. So once you refresh, automatically you can see the results. So we have got total of 225 requests with 0 failed requests, and the received bytes is 967 kilobytes, and the sent bytes is 39. And we can start to see the total throughput here and the active number of threads. So we have got 10 active threads. So this is what, as I mentioned earlier, so we can also see individual response times for each of the transactions. So that's in fact a very wonderful and nice way to view the value. So in fact, you can see the network traffic, like how much does each network or each transaction takes. And then we can see the total requests here, and we can see the throughput for each of these requests and the 95 percentile. So this way we can in fact watch a full view of the test. In fact, if we just refresh, automatically you can see here, so to the end of the test. So this is how you can integrate the JMeter. So we can just go back to our node. So first we installed and we have set up the InfluxDB. So we have set up a database, and the second part is we have set up a user. So that's just 2 steps, and that's the first part. And then we have installed and set up Grafana through the file. So here we have downloaded and we have set up the Grafana. So that's second part, and then we have logged into it by running the server, and then we have given the password as admin, and then we have logged into the application. So that's the second step, and then we have connected the InfluxDB in Grafana. So that's the most critical part. So what did we do is we went into the Grafana. Let me just save the dashboard so that I can watch it next time. Let me just save it. So we went to the add first data source, went into the InfluxDB, we changed the name, we gave the URL, and then we gave the database name, the username, the password, and then we chose the method as get, and then we did a save and test. So this way we have connected the InfluxDB to the Grafana. And then the next part is set up a dashboard in Grafana. So we all know we went into this URL and we have downloaded a template, and then we have set up imported the dashboard, and then finally we ran a test, gave initially the wrong name, and then we gave the correct database name. So in fact, these are the mistakes that some of us do, and in fact I'm also an ordinary person who does mistakes. So, and then I finally corrected by seeing the logs. So in fact, I would advise you to watch the logs, in fact, if something goes wrong. And then I changed the database name, and then finally we have successfully washed the results. So this is how it works. So in case if you have any queries, please do comment in the comment section. Like the video if you really like it and if it is very useful to you, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share the video with your friends. So until I meet you in another interesting video, it's bye bye from Vasan Shanmugam and Little's Law.